So I'd like to formally welcome Mr. McManus to Central Elementary School. I'm running for school board trustee and helping grade 5, 6 students participate in student vote on Friday, and for helping kids understand local government. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day to help the kids.
No problem.
So you can start with maybe the role of the school board trustee, Mr. McManus.
Sure. The role of a school trustee is very broad. To keep it as simple as we can, one of the biggest and most important things for us is to focus on student achievement, which is you guys. How we can create a system that makes you more successful in your classrooms and as individuals, and become better at what you do and work your way towards whatever your chosen career happens to be many years down the road. So that's our primary focus. We work on committees to help put those kind of things together. Funding is a huge part of what we do, and that's trying to come up with ways to spend our money in more efficient ways so that you can have more books for your classrooms, more computers, and all those things that you need to be a better learner. And those are really the two key things that we work with, and there's a lot of things that filter out from those areas. But that's kind of the main thrust of the things that we talk about. There are a lot of other things that come into play and that we try to work with. Like what happens in your classrooms, the equipment in your classrooms. Dealing with some of the issues and challenges that you have, whether it's how big the class is and how many kids are in the class and that sort of thing. Those are things we're going to try to help out with. But a lot of things are involved with working with your teachers, with your parents, with the administrators in the school, to try to come up with solutions that the challenges for the challenges that do come up. And that's really one of the key things, is trying to do a better job of communicating with the people in the school so that we can make it a better place for you to learn. And that's what I would say is the role.
Excellent, thank you so much. What would you bring to that role, Mr. McManus?
Well, I have been around the education system for over 25 years. My wife is a school teacher in another district, and she's very, very passionate about what she does. She works very hard. She believes that teachers should do a lot of professional development, and she mentors younger teachers. And so being around that for over 25 years has really given me a great deal of education about education. I know a lot of people in this district, teachers and administrators and parents, and so I've been sort of immersed in the education system for a very long time, and it's a passion for me because I have 3 daughters who are also in the school system and have gone through the school system here in Chilliwack for the last 16 years. 2 of them are now at university. One is going to be a teacher as well, so a 3rd generation teacher in our family, and so that's a huge part of it. Just being around the system and being familiar with the system is a huge part of what I bring to the role. The other thing is I've been in business, in the business management kind of area for almost 30 years. And so having that unique combination of business and educational background makes me fairly unique to the trustee role, and helps bring a new skill set, or whatever you want to call it, a lot of, I think, valuable assets to the role as a result of my background. So that's what I bring to the trustee role, and that's what I hope to do over the next 4 years.
Thank you. Would you mind taking some questions?
Not at all.
Okay, so remember, essentially, we're working on introducing ourselves first, and we're working on projecting our voice so that the people on the other side of the camera can hear us. So, Mr. McManus, if you just point to somebody, they will.
The young lady in the back, I think, was the first one with their hand up.
My name is Leah, and if I'm allowed to, will you give us more books in the school libraries?
That's a great question. Olivia, right?
Aaliyah.
Aaliyah, sorry. Great question.
Can I just repeat that question for the people on the other side?
More books in the libraries. Will you give us more books in the libraries? That is a great question. Books are sort of the cornerstone of learning, and it's very, very important for you guys to have more books. It's obviously a cost item, so we're looking to figure out how much we can spend on those things. So absolutely, we want to give you more books for your library. You can't promise the world, but obviously we want to try to get you as many books as we can. And the more variety of books that you have access to is very, very important. So books are one of the key things for sure. And I love that question because it's a sign that you guys love to read, and reading is so important. Next question. All right, this man in the purple right here.
If I elect you, will you try and get like a laptop for every student in school?
Another good question. More stuff. We're spending money here. We're spending money. That's good. More computers in the schools. Yes, I mean, it's very important for sure. Once again, it becomes a cost item, and one of the things that we have to look at as a board is how much money we have in the budget, to spend. And one of the key areas is technology, because it's important for you young kids to learn with technology and adapt your learning to the technology that's taking place. So computers and buying of new computers with the the modern stuff that we need in our schools is very important. So we're going to try to get as many computers in as many classrooms as possible. Once again, it comes down to money, and so we have to find a way to make more money for the budget.
And my name's Logan.
Logan, thanks, Logan. Great question. Young man over here.
My name is Dylan, and would you, if you were elected, would you give more money for field trips?
For field trips, more money for field trips. That's another good question. Field trips are really important for sure. And what we try to do with those kind of field trips is we try to raise money through different avenues. Sometimes that money is not necessarily in the budget that we have, but we try to work with the schools to figure out the best way to raise money for some of these important field trips. And so one of the things that I plan to do is to work with our community and even some businesses in the community that are trying to help our schools with that sort of thing, to try to offset some of those costs for sure, because we want to continue to have kids going out and learning more about what's happening in their world outside of the classroom, because it's a big part of learning for sure. Next question, young lady.
My name is Cheyenne. Will you get us a drama and music program?
A drama and music program, if elected. These are all good questions. That is something that I don't think anybody can promise, and a lot of these things aren't anything people can promise, of course. But drama and music are really important. They create well-rounded kids. Your schooling shouldn't just be reading and writing and arithmetic and so on. You have to learn cultural things like drama and music and sports. All those things are really important, and so they're a key part of what we want to have in your curriculum and in your schools. So one of the things that we need to do as a board is to sit down with each school and find out where their programs are lacking. If you don't have a drama and music program, what do we need to do to try to make that happen? And you need to have enough kids interested. You need to have the teachers to be able to support it. You need all those things. And there has to probably be a little bit of money, as there always seems to be a need there, to make those programs work. But by all means, we want to try to have drama and music and sports programs in all the schools. Young man, you're up.
For one, my name is Jackson, and if elected, would you try to add another recess after lunch from 1:30 to 1:45?
Wow. Well, recess, Jackson, that's a good question. Another recess. That would take some consultation with your principals and probably the other schools as well, because once you guys get extra recess, everybody's going to want extra recess, and I'm all for recess. But that's a good question. I don't know if we can promise that, because it's important to be in school learning for sure, but we'll have to take that up with your principal and the other people that make those decisions. But I don't think that's a school board decision. So that's a good question. Any other questions here?
Darian, last.
My name is Darian, and if I like you, will you add a cafeteria to elementary schools?
Add a cafeteria to elementary schools. Well, That's a good question. I think that might be challenging, just because the costs of that sort of thing are quite high. So I don't know that it's feasible to add a cafeteria to an elementary school. There's a lot of good programs out there that hopefully will help to bring food into the schools and so on, but I don't know if we could actually have an actual cafeteria. Just with the costs involved, it might be a little bit challenging to do that. But with an endless supply of money, that might be a good option, but unfortunately, our school boards and school programs don't have an endless supply of money.
Johnny, you had a question?
Yeah. My name is Johnny, and if I live with you, will you make gym more longer?
Make your gymnasium or gym class longer?
Yeah.
Good question, Johnny. I love gym. When I was a kid, it's one of my favorite classes. And it's important for you guys to be active, right? So it's definitely an important part of your schooling. Stay physically active, and it becomes a matter of what's feasible in your daily activity. I think as a school board, we want to make sure that we're emphasizing a lot of physical activity, because it's important for a sharp mind to have a strong body, and we want to do that for sure. Extending the time for it, hard to say. We'd like to make sure there's enough time for sure. I don't know if it'll be extended. I'm not sure what the current amount of time is allocated for it, but we want to make sure you're active and enjoying your gym time for sure.
Thank you for fielding those questions, Mr. McManus.
No problem.
If you could just, we've been asking this for all candidates, if you can just summarize. So if you are elected,
Yes.
what would you try and champion? What would be your passion for this term, this 4-year term as a school board trustee?
I would try to champion essentially more funding. Right now, our funding for so many of the things we've already talked about is just not adequate. There's just not enough money to buy enough books and computers and do all the things that we want to do, field trips, all the things that we've talked about. So it is critical that we take a hard look at where the money can come from, how the money is currently being spent, and just be more efficient in terms of how we spend our money. Because we are seeing challenges with having enough books in our libraries, having enough modern computers in our schools, and being able to do all the things that we want to do. And so working on a more adequate or higher level of funding is really the key for me to focus on in the 4 years ahead.
Okay, so that concludes our presentation from Mr. Paul McManus, School Board Trustee. Mr. McManus, thank you so much.
Thanks for inviting me.
Fielding those tough questions and helping kids participate in student vote and helping them understand government at the local level. Much appreciated. Thank you for your time.
All righty.
Central, can we give our guest a round of applause, please?
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, kids. Great question.
Mr. McManus, many